15, 2024, and we're coming to you live from outside the George William Gordon House in downtown Kingston, Jamaica. Today marks the formal start of the 2024-2025 parliamentary year, and we are absolutely pleased to be here to share with you the official state opening of Parliament, of course with the kind collaboration of the production teams of the Jamaica Information Service and the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. Good morning to our viewers here in Jamaica and those online joining us from across the diaspora, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Stacey Ann Smith.
And I'm Theodore Henry, and Stacey, you have to let me in on that effusive good morning. Good morning, everyone, from me as well. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Stacey. And it is a distinct pleasure on my part to be a part of this national event. An event like this where we get to highlight our traditions, where we get to see the cream of Jamaica on display, and you get an opportunity to listen in on the government's plans for the next parliamentary year. We have an excellent vantage point, as you see. We are right across the road from Gordon House, and we will be bringing you all the sights and the sounds and the pomp and the pageantry of the official state opening of Parliament.
The event, of course, is executed with the expert precision of the Jamaica Defence Force in collaboration with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Houses of Parliament. And you may already be able to see members of the JCF and the JDF lining Duke Street. The roads have been closed, many of them from last evening. Certainly the intersection between North and Sutton Streets have been closed off for what we anticipate in a second to be the procession of the Guard of Honor to officially start the proceedings.
And we're expecting to see all our political leadership here today, Stacey, and that is the two houses of Parliament, actually. The upper house, that's the Senate, and the lower house, known as the House of Representatives. And in anticipation of their arrival, we have seen several supporters and guests already making their way into Gordon House to take their space and to find a good vantage point to see all the events of this morning's opening of Parliament. Now, we also expect to see the traditional march to Gordon House.
Yes, that traditional march.
Right, it happens from both sides of the street. It's led by the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition. The Jamaica Labour Party traditionally comes from the north. That's the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union side. And the People's National Party, they traditionally come to Gordon House from the south.
Right. And of course, in a year like this, where we are anticipating elections coming up in a little over a week, Theo, February 26th, we do expect to have many, many supporters out here cheering on their favorite political party. It really is great to have that kind of energy on the road, and I know we'll see quite a lot of that. And of course, for those persons who cannot be here on Duke Street, but you want to cheer on your political leaders, you can do that. Join the live stream on the JIS website, that's jis.gov.jm, or on the JIS's social media platforms. The live stream is also on PBCJ as well as on your television station of choice.
Absolutely. It's an invitation, an open invitation for you to buy into national pride and the legislative process.
Of course. And as good citizens, it's our responsibility to, at the very least, be aware. And we're all here in anticipation of two major events that are going to happen. First of all, the throne speech delivered by the Governor General.
Yes, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen. Now, that's where we'll get that outline of the government's legislative agenda for the 2024-2025 parliamentary year. And Stacey, what's our theme for that speech?
So this year, the theme is towards a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica. And the Governor General is expected to outline how the government plans to use all of the resources in order to achieve that very ambitious goal. This morning's ceremony, of course, is going to be followed In the afternoon, that's the second main event
Right.
for today at 2 o'clock. The 2024-25 estimates of expenditure will be tabled in the House by the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark. And those estimates will provide some insights into how the government plans to finance the budget this year, to cover things like education, health, security, and infrastructure. Very important for us all to be aware of those plans.
Indeed, indeed. Listen out for the high points, listen out for the priorities, listen out for the appropriations. This is your country, and these are the things that will benefit us all. So, in a word, Stacey, this is a packed day.
Indeed, and it is must-see TV. You have to be aware of what's going on in your country, apart from the pomp and circumstance. And it's wonderful to see everybody dressed up and looking fabulous. But at the heart of it, we will definitely get a chance to hear more about the plans for our country.
Again, we are very pleased to be instrumental in your viewing experience. We invite you to stay with us, to participate in all the sights and the sounds, and also sit back and relax as we bring you this live broadcast of the official opening, state opening of the Houses of Parliament for the 2024-2025 parliamentary year.
If you're just joining us, this is the outside broadcast of the state opening of Parliament, coming to you live from the George William Gordon House, the Houses of Parliament on Duke Street in Kingston, Jamaica. My name is Stacey Ann Smith, alongside my co-anchor Theodore Henry.
You will also hear the voice of a member of the Jamaica Defence Force, Captain Hugh Dowse, who will give us the behind-the-scenes insight on the JDF's preparation and presentation today. A lot of effort has gone into what you are about to see. But happy you could join us, Captain Dowse.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everyone.
So, we want to start, Captain Dowse, by talking about that preparation that Theo mentioned, the kind of collaboration that happened behind the scenes. I know we're looking at our screen now. Earlier this morning, we had the teams from the JDF rolling out that very important runner.
The
Indeed.
runner, yes.
And this is just one of the many arms of preparation. Of course, what is obvious to our listeners and viewers is the parade, including the music and the drilling, the guard that is going to be presented that has to be reviewed by His Excellency the Governor General. But there is a great deal of rehearsal for the parade, a great deal of logistical work that has to go in, including our own collaboration with you right here.
Indeed.
A lot of script writing, a lot of support in terms of rehearsals of the band that we're seeing coming down there now.
Speaking of the band, Captain Doze, speaking of the band, as we see them coming down, I do realize that we had a close-up a while ago. We were looking at the massed band of the Jamaica Regiment Corps of Drums, and there at the front we saw the director of music, Lieutenant
Raphael Salazar.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, I understand he has been the director of music for the Jamaica Defense Force since 2020, and though we are only seeing him in a directorial capacity this morning, he is also an accomplished clarinetist.
He is indeed. He's a part of the Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica as well.
There is Lieutenant Salazar on your screen.
And Band Master, Warrant Officer 1, Paul Johnson is there. Drum Major, Warrant Officer
Class 2, Ramon Locke. This one is called the Mechanized Infantry, and it's by K. Alford.
And of course, that Guard of Honor is furnished by the 1st Battalion, the Jamaica Regiment, or 1JR as it's called, and formed for the inspection of the Governor General when he arrives in a short while.
Yes. You will notice that they are dressed in the number 1 dress uniform, which is a uniform of red tunics with red striped navy blue trousers. The troops also have on, as you would notice, white gloves as a part of that uniform.
Indeed. There is something else we also notice at glance, Captain Dawes. The unit and the Guard of Honor is mixed. It is a mixture of male and female.
Yes. The Jamaica Defense Force has a gender optimization policy, which means that whatever we do, we have to have at least 25% of either gender. So you're going to see at least 25% female members in this guard.
And we see the guard commander there, Major Conrad Taylor, who is giving instructions as the guard comes into full formation right here on Duke Street.
Indeed. And just to remind you of their purpose, they are getting into position, and as our dignitaries arrive, primarily the Governor General, he will perform an inspection.
Yes.
After which he will receive the royal salute at least twice, and the national anthem will of course play such a big and beautiful part in this morning's opening ceremony, all before he proceeds into the chamber.
It's important to note, Theo and Captain Dawes, that as a country we've been independent for almost 62 years now, and many of our traditions are still reflective of the British parliamentary system, and this ceremony is of course one of them. The roots of our ceremonial opening of Parliament go back to our 1962 parliamentary sitting that marked the birth of independent Jamaica. Back then it was Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret, representing Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, who delivered independent Jamaica's first throne speech, and since then the job has been executed by various governors general.
That's right. Stacey, this is the first time any Governor General will be delivering the throne speech on behalf of the King of England, that being King Charles III. Once the Governor General arrives, as I mentioned, he will be given a royal salute, during which you will hear the playing of the national anthem. Of course, we encourage you to show the appropriate respect wherever you are, living room, office, wherever you are, to the playing and the sounding of the national anthem. That will be followed by an inspection of the Guard of Honor. There will be another royal salute right before the Governor General enters the chamber of the Houses of Parliament. And that will be the signal of the beginning of the official proceedings inside.
So on your screens, you're watching the Guard of Honor formed up as it is appropriately referenced by the 1st Battalion, the Jamaica Regiment. And they are anticipating the arrival of the Governor General and many other officials. We're looking at one of our color ensigns on screen. We have two, Lieutenant Tonian Blackwood and Lieutenant Alicia Reed. And you can see there an attempt to ensure that everything is in an immaculate state and ready for that inspection.
Yes.
That color that you see, if we could pan back and get another right, we're looking at that Jamaica Regiment, that it's called the colors of the Jamaica Regiment. It bears the colors of the Jamaican flag, but it is not
the
Jamaican flag. And it's very important that we remind our viewers of that, so that when you see them do that sweeping of the colors while the anthem plays, it's not them putting the Jamaican flag on the ground, but it is a sweeping of the colors.
Indeed. And as a matter of fact, the color.
Captain Dawes,
yes.
There are two colors.
There are two colors.
We've mentioned one.
Yes, there are two colors, and I just wanted to say that a color is really an official ceremonial flag for a military unit, usually for an infantry unit only, but in the JDF we have colors for all our brigades. The King's color, which we would have formerly heard called the Queen's color, for the obvious reason, is a version, as you rightly said, Stacey, of the national flag. But what makes it different is that it is trimmed with gold, and it also bears the insignia of the force at the center. The colors there are also the colors of the regiment, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the regiment colors.
And that one, before you proceed, is to the right of your screen.
Exactly.
You're seeing the King's colors near the center. The regiment colors is to the right.
Exactly. The regiment operates under the motto pro gente, which means for the people. And the colors are, they have a crowned lion on a crown. There are the colors of the Jamaica flag. There are the presences of these symbols of loyalty to our sovereign country.
Yes.
The crest is a symbol used to identify the Jamaica Regiment. On the fringe, the edge is a gold with red threading, and in gold the colors are written Jamaica Regiment. There are cords and tassels with red and blue interspersed throughout.
Captain Dawes, give us some sense of what goes into preparing for a ceremony or an event like this.
All right, so every ceremony is different, even though there are features that may remain the same. And the opening of Parliament is a distinct, unique ceremony because it is about the business of the nation at its highest level. It's the highest court of the land. So the preparation would be weeks upon weeks of parade rehearsals. And it is very important to get it right. The 96 servicemen and women from Corporal across who are on the parade now would be accustomed to what it takes to not just drill in precision, but to find their spacing and make sure that they are there for the duration of the opening of Parliament ceremony. The back support for this would include a great deal of making sure that the servicemen and women are properly hydrated. We are in a very hot time
Indeed,
right now,
indeed.
so we have to make sure that they are sturdily supported in terms of our health services,
Yes.
of dietary services, and of course making sure from our drill sergeants and all those who prepare for drilling that they are ready and at top shining
Yes,
standard
in top
for
shape.
this most important event.
And
That's
we
right.
saw some of that effort going in during rehearsals
Yes.
on Tuesday,
Yes.
where team members were obviously making sure that those on the parade were okay, you know, making sure, checking in with them, making
Yes.
sure people were hydrated and that kind of thing.
Yes.
We saw some shots just now of members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who are also supporting, and no doubt similar effort is made to make sure that everyone who is on the parade is fit and ready for this assignment this morning.
Indeed,
Yes,
as
indeed.
you are seeing, as you were seeing on your screen just now, there is that pre-inspection before the inspection. First of our dignitaries seem to be arriving now. We'll get a clearer shot of that shortly. But we are absolutely sure and making sure the guard commander a while ago doing that pre-inspection to ensure that everything is just so, which is the natural expectation of a country showing its best.
It is a natural expectation, but it doesn't come easily. The idea of rehearsals in the Jamaica Defence Force and within the JCF and all the partners who put on this event is very important, because we do it not just to get it right, but so that we cannot get it wrong.
Exactly, and we now see, I think that first unit is carrying the Commissioner of Police. We're seeing the arrival of the Major General Anthony Anderson,
Yes.
who is arriving now for the official proceedings.
And he has served as Jamaica's police commissioner since March 2018, after a long and illustrious career in the Jamaica Defence Force, which culminated in his role as Chief of Defence Staff. As the Commissioner of Police has arrived, we're expecting that to be followed by the arrival of the Chief of Defence Staff, Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman.
Right, and they are definitely two very important figures in this state opening of Parliament, and will precede several members of the judiciary, representatives of the diplomatic corps and other high-ranking officials who are all on their way. We did see some members of the House earlier. We saw a couple of senators who were here early.
That's right.
We saw Senator Abka Fitz-Henley, who arrived early and took his place in the House. And we will have members of both houses seated inside the chamber of Gordon House before the Governor General arrives. As he arrives and enters the House, that is when the formal proceedings inside the chamber will begin.
Here
And
we're seeing another arrival. Here is the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. He has served the Senate since 2007, first becoming President in March 2016. He is making his way into the chamber.
And here we just want to remind our viewers or listeners here in Jamaica and across the world that Jamaica's system of government remains a bicameral system. We have two houses of parliament. We have the upper house, which is the Senate, that consists of 21 senators,
Right.
13 of whom are appointed on the advice of the Prime Minister, and we have 8 members of the Senate who are appointed on the advice of the Leader of the Opposition.
That's right. That's right. We are expecting the march to Gordon House to happen any moment now, and here we're seeing more entrances to the Gordon House itself by dignitaries. This one is Audrey
That's
Sewell.
Audrey Sewell.
Here we have another arrival.
And I believe this may be the CDS.
This is the Chief of Defence Staff, Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman.
Captain Dowes, she is the first woman to stand in this position.
She's the first woman locally to be the Chief of Defense Staff, the only woman in the world to be currently serving as a head of military, and the second woman in history to be the chief of a defense force.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
She will head straight to the saluting days. These are her troops forming the Guard of Honor, so she will head right there and receive that salute.
And it's called a sword salute, right, Captain Dowes?
Well, the salute is a general salute. What will happen is that the guard commander will indicate his acknowledgement of her with a sword. But as you would have observed, not all on the parade are done with a sword. So she'll receive this salute.
Thank you for that clarity.
Rear Admiral Weems Gorman has taken her place on the dais.
And this is, of course, her third occasion performing duties for the state opening of Parliament, having been officially appointed on January 20, 2022.
Indeed.
As you see, she has not entered the chamber, for she and Police Major General Anthony Anderson
and
are
we're now,
awaiting the
Theo,
Prime
seeing
Minister.
this march, this very traditional march to Gordon House, coming from the north on Duke Street, led by Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, and members of Parliament representing the Jamaica Labour Party.
Right there, right beside him, you see Minister of Tourism, Edmund Bartlett, flanking him on the other side, Minister of Gender, Entertainment, Culture, and Sport,
Yes.
Olivia Grange.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Horace Chang, is there. So is the Minister of Local Government, Desmond McKenzie. We have Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith there. We saw her just now as well. There she is in the frame. The Minister of Education, Favour Williams, is there as well. And
you see the Prime Minister has sort of broken away from the pack. The supporting ministers and leaders are right behind him, but the Prime Minister is walking a little bit ahead, for he is to greet the police commissioner, and we expect that to happen right there at the front, the entrance of Garden House. And here we have sight of the members of
coming
the
from the south
of the PNP, the People's
Yes,
National
indeed.
Party. There at the front, leader
the
of
opposition
opposition,
leader.
Mark Golding. And we see to his
right, that's Anthony Hilton, and several other members of his team, the opposition team.
Angela Brown Burke is there. We saw Mrs.
Philip
Julian.
Paulwell,
Yes, Philip Paulwell is
Julian
there.
Robinson.
And they
I think just off screen there, I think that's Michael Phillips, and just off screen is Lisa Hanna.
There it is. And they've paused a moment. They've paused a moment right at the entrance of Garden House as we work out the entrance. The press corps is there, but they will soon proceed right into the chamber.
Of course. Very important photo opportunity there.
Yes, the members of parliament and senators aligned to the People's National Party, they walked from the southern end of Duke Street, and their walk is a traditional one, as both of the marches are. They walk past Headquarters House, and
Yes,
that's the
indeed.
old House of Parliament. And they're now entering
Yes, indeed.
Gordon House.
We're seeing several senators earlier on screen in that very fabulous pink outfit. We saw Opposition Senator Janice Allen, and just going to the right of your screen, we're seeing Senator Floyd Morris as well,
Yes.
trying to make out a few of those other members of the House who are heading into the chamber in anticipation of the arrival of the Governor General. Here we see the Speaker of the House arriving.
That is the Most Honorable Juliet Holness. Now, she's the 16th Speaker of the House since independence, and she assumed office in September 2023. So, Stacey, this is her first state opening since her
Indeed.
appointment as Speaker. Now, in her role as Speaker, Mrs. Holness is responsible for upholding the rules, which, if you partake in Parliament, you would hear it called the standing orders of the House, and ensuring that the rights of the members are protected.
Most certainly. You see the press corps there trying to get those very important shots. And now we're looking at, I think it's the arrival of the Governor General. If we could get that shot again, that wide shot of Duke Street, anticipating the arrival of His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen.
As we wait, and we're looking at the Guard of Honor, Captain Dowes,
Yes.
the parade appointments, how do they stand today?
All right, so the parade appointments for this parade is the Guard Commander is Major Conrad Taylor. The subaltern of the Guard is Lieutenant Jordan Boswell. As we heard earlier, the color ensigns are Lieutenant Tony Ann Blackwood and Lieutenant Alicia Reed.
Our Chief Justice has arrived.
That's Brian Sykes. He's making his way into and other members of the judiciary.
The judiciary
are making their way into the
are
chamber.
arriving. President of the Court of Appeal.
One thing that stands out to me and gives me an immense surge of national pride, all the colors, all the standing, everything that is here represents the Jamaican identity, and I think we can all and should all be very proud of what we're seeing here today. We're witnessing further arrivals.
And these, of course, are members of the diplomatic corps who are arriving. Very important for their presence as we execute this very important start to the parliamentary year.
Diplomatic corps, custodians, mayors, other representatives of the people of Jamaica.
So we continue to see several teams out on Duke Street. We see the arrivals of our officials, and we are coming to you live from the George William Gordon House, popularly called Gordon House, which became the official meeting place of the Jamaican government in 1960. I bet you didn't know that, Theo.
I did know that, actually. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And it forms a large part of the national identity here as well. There's a lot of history. There's a whole lot of history that is tied up in both this house and the area around it.
Right, just next door we have the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and that is housed in a building referred to as Headquarters House, which was where the Parliament met before
Indeed.
Gordon House became the official meeting place.
That's right. Duke Street itself, as we mentioned, is an area of historical interest. There are many areas that are in close proximity to Gordon House. There's the old Jewish synagogue with a very informative exhibition inside. I've actually seen it. We have the headquarters of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union just up the road, and as you mentioned, the head office of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. That is right next door. Captain Dawes, you're giving us some information on the appointments today, and we're seeing the Guard of Honor again.
Yes, I want to let us know that the conducting warrant officer is Warrant Officer Class 1, Derek Brown. The right guide is Warrant Officer Class 2 Gregory Gottsmore. The left guide is Staff Sergeant Christopher Walters. The color escorts are Staff Sergeant Fitzroy Campbell, Sergeant Jermaine Clark, and Sergeant Dwayne Bath.
And I think this is Lady Allen who has arrived. Am I right, Theo?
I'm giving it a moment, but it does appear that
I
you
do
are
think so.
indeed correct that the wife of the Governor General has arrived and will precede him into the chamber.
Yes, indeed, met by the police commissioner. Very lovely in a powder blue dress. Always fashionable, always sophisticated, beautifully attired.
And of course, as she makes her way into the chamber, there are some greetings and forms that need to be attended to. And we follow her into the chamber there, her protection detail, all making their way into the chamber.
I think preceding her there is the deputy clerk to the house.
The deputy clerk to the house. I believe that would be...
Miss Colleen Lowe.
Yes, and she joined the staff of Parliament as deputy clerk in May 2022. And Ms. Lowe is a barrister and attorney at law with more than 10 years of legal experience. There's a great deal of qualification in our House of Parliament.
For sure, the level of expertise that we have in our leaders is unchallenged, really, and it's something that as a country we ought to feel very proud of. You know, we have leaders and officials who not only have the experience but have the expertise.
That's right. Captain
to back it.
What are we seeing on screen?
Okay, so whenever events like these take place, we have to have a presence of security from all angles.
Yes.
Some of which I can't tell you about.
That's all
but
right.
Some of which include support from the Air and the Marine Air and Cyber Command Brigade, MAC, and that what we saw were two of our air vessels.
Understood.
Okay, and it means that we are getting closer to the arrival of the Governor General, and once he gets here, we will have, as Theo shared earlier, a royal salute for the Governor General. He will inspect the Guard of Honor, followed by another royal salute, and his entering the chamber, going into the Parliament building for the start of the proceedings. There he will deliver the throne speech, and the throne speech will give lots of details of how the government will be approaching its major projects and programs for the next parliamentary year, the 2024 to 2025 parliamentary year. The theme for this year's throne speech is towards a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica.
Stacey, there we see the Guard of Honor has come to full attention. The JCF streetliners also came to full attention. And here we're seeing the arrival of the Governor General, preceded by the mounted troop. And they are provided by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. If you'll permit us to remind you, the mounted escorts from the Jamaica Constabulary Force precede the Governor General. He will walk along the runner onto the saluting dais, where he will be given a royal salute, which is then accompanied by the national anthem. As Captain Dowse mentioned earlier, you will see the color ensigns sweep their colors. This is not the national flag, though it bears a resemblance to the flag. And he gave us the detail on the colors earlier in the presentation. The Governor General is on site.
And if you listen carefully, you might hear the voice of Guard Commander Major Conrad Taylor giving those instructions.
The JDF has spent many hours rehearsing for this occasion until they get it just right. We absolutely salute them for their consistent professionalism.
And we see Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman escorting His Excellency.
Turn the glass. Turn, sir.
He has received an initial salute. Now he's making his way down the runner to the saluting dais, where Rear Admiral Weems Gorman's troops will deliver that first royal salute. We invite you to participate fully in the next few moments. To our viewers, Stacey, Captain Dowes, you would have to be here to experience the thrill, the rumble in the chest as the drums and the drum corps delivered the national anthem a while ago. Truly.
It is always a very proud moment for me every time I hear the national anthem. Indeed, Captain Dowes.
Indeed, and it is a national symbol like none other. The work composed by Mapletop Poole and Mrs. Poole, words by Reverend Hugh Sherlock. The Military School of Music, where I teach at the Caribbean Military Academy, one of our brigades, emphasizes the importance of patriotic music.
Yes, indeed.
Within the encoding of national identity and strength of our nation. And we have beautiful music with which to do so, indeed.
For sure. And Major Taylor there inviting the Governor General to inspect the Guard of Honor. And once he completes that inspection, he will return to the saluting dais for another royal salute.
Is Lignum Vitae, and it's arranged by Major Roy Wayne. No, this was arranged by Major Joe Williams. Lignum Vitae, one of our Jamaican folk songs. And of course, the significance of the Lignum Vitae being one of our national symbols.
Of course.
We're listening to the mass bands of the Jamaica Regiment Corps of, and the Jamaica Regiment Corps of Drums, and the Director of Music, again, Lieutenant Raphael Salazar, Bandmaster, Warrant Officer Class 1 Paul Johnson, and the Drum Major is Staff Sergeant Ramoy Dawkins.
While the band is no longer doing inspection, they too are properly trained, for they must be standing fully in their role. That's providing atmosphere for this moment.
And we're standing by for the completion of this inspection, followed very quickly after that by the Governor General moving into the house. He'll be greeted by a flourish of trumpets. What a beautiful shot there by the team. Wonderful to see members of the JDF, the Guard of Honor, resplendent in red. Once the His Excellency at the foot of the stairs inside Gordon House and accompany him to the entrance of the chamber. And at that point, the Marshal, retired Captain Wayne Blake, will announce the entry of the Governor General into the House.
Yes.
And that will be followed by the presentation of the throne speech.
Again, we invite your full participation in the next few moments.
Once the GG delivers the throne speech, sharing, of course, as we mentioned earlier, Theo, all of the major programs and plans of the government for the next parliamentary year, the sitting will come to an end and they will then reconvene, the House that is, will reconvene later on this afternoon at 2 o'clock actually, for a sitting of the House where the estimates of expenditure for the next financial year, the 2024-2025 fiscal year, the estimates of expenditure will be tabled by the Finance Minister, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark.
And Stacey, that proceeds further in the budget debate,
Yes,
which
indeed.
also will be opened by our Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
Madam Clerk, would you kindly invite the members of the Honorable House of Representatives to attend at the place appointed for the meeting of the Senate? I now invite the representative of the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches to say prayers.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we, your servants, lift up our eyes to the hills, from whence cometh our help. We give thanks today for your servant, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, who will deliver the throne speech, outlining the policies of government and the legislative program for the new parliamentary year. We are thankful to you, our loving and caring Father, for those whom you have chosen to be the guardians of the affairs of your people in this island, Jamaica land we love. As they deliberate and make decisions in the Houses of Parliament, we ask, O God, that they will constantly seek your direction. Fill their hearts with courage, their souls with conviction. Give them vision and wisdom, lest we perish. Lord God, help them as a team to work harmoniously and collectively in the responsibility of their duties to our nation. May they be resolute in the stance which will filter enthusiasm, so the people of this nation will be passionate about being involved in the work of transformation. Lord, as we build, let us build the walls of morality. Let us rebuild the walls of honesty. Let us rebuild the walls of respect, one for the other. O God, call us back to the place where we can resolve together for national reformation, for national restitution, and for national repentance. May this institution be the place imprinted with the model that all other nations of the world will desire to emulate. Bless your servants here gathered. Bless this session. We ask these and other mercies in the name that is above every name, the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please be seated.
A proclamation under the Constitution of Jamaica by His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica. Whereas it is provided by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica that each session of Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at such place and shall commence at such time as the Governor General may by proclamation appoint. And whereas it is expedient that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica should be held at such place and commence at such time as shall hereinafter appear. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Linton Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, in exercise of the power conferred on me by subsection 1 of section 63 of the Constitution of Jamaica, do hereby proclaim and make known that a session of the Parliament of Jamaica shall be held at George William Gordon House in the parish of Kingston, commencing at 11 a.m. on the 15th day of February, 2024. Given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House, this 8th day of February, in the year of our Lord, 2024, and the second year of the reign of His Majesty, King Charles III. God save the King.
Mr. President and members of the Senate, Madam Speaker, and members of the House of Representatives, guests, I am pleased to present the throne speech representing my government's plans and programs for the 2024 to 2025 parliamentary year. Honorable members, we give God thanks that today we can say that we are a stronger, more resilient Jamaica, having had remarkable recovery from recent global shocks. We place our trust in the Almighty's assurance, and I quote, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with the righteous right hand." And that's taken from Isaiah 41 and verse 10. Our island nation is positioned to achieve our true destiny as a peaceful, productive, and prosperous country for all. We have had 10 consecutive quarters of economic growth since the pandemic. Our unemployment rate is at 4.2%, the lowest in the history of independent Jamaica. We recorded a balance of payments surplus on our current account for the first time since 1966. In September 2023, global ratings agency Standard & Poor's, S&P, upgraded Jamaica's credit rating to BB-, the highest level it has ever been. Jamaica's net international reserves at December 31, 2023 were at a record high. In November 2023, the government issued the first ever Jamaican dollar-linked bond on the international market in the amount of $46.6 billion, or US $300 million. By any objective measure, Jamaica's economic performance has been exemplary and has caught the attention of the world. Every Jamaican should be proud that Jamaica is now recognized globally for the vibrancy of our music and culture, the speed of our athletes, and the strength and speed of our economic recovery. Honorable members, a growing economy provides the resources to spend on the things that matter to our people. Fixing roads, providing water, building houses, acquiring garbage trucks, acquiring buses, improving our healthcare system, providing for education transformation, increasing skills training, and investing in our security forces, among other things. The government continues its march towards a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica. Honorable members, as we envision the Jamaica we all want, customer-centric service must be the hallmark. The government is therefore committed to increasing the rollout of the Service Excellence Program across all ministries, departments, and agencies. Key components of the program include service delivery, minimum standards, complaints management, people engagement, communication, and change management. Honorable members, the government recognizes the transformative power that technology has in shaping societies and continues efforts towards becoming a digital society. Through the Government Wide Area Network and National Broadband Project, 14 parish courts, 8 police stations, and 14 municipal corporations, 49 ministries, departments, and agencies, and 662 educational institutions and places of safety have been provided with dedicated internet access. The Jamaica Eye Security Camera Network has also been expanded. In the digital age, verifiable, credible, accurate, and contextualized government information is a priority. To this end, the government supported 41 ministries, departments, and agencies in their adoption of the Records and Information Management Policy, developed a national Archives and Records Management Bill, and established a fact-checking website. The Office of the Information Commissioner, which serves as the cornerstone of data protection in Jamaica, has been strengthened, and the Data Protection Act 2020 is being operationalized on a phased basis, with public education being a priority at this time. Honorable members, a unique digital identity for every citizen is a critical building block for a digital society. In 2023, the government finalized the development of the National Identification Regulations and successfully completed a pilot of the system. In 2024, the National Identification and Registration Authority will be operationalized to commence enrollment and issue national identification cards. More government services will be made easily accessible online through use of the electronic national ID card to embrace and enhance productivity and growth. The Jamaica Data Exchange Platform will also facilitate the consent-based exchange of data between the private and public sectors to drive digital information. The government is renovating and upgrading post offices island-wide to serve as enrollment centers for the national ID, as well as digital support centers. Design work for 23 post offices renovation has been completed, and contracts have been approved for 12 post offices modifications. Honorable members, in realizing our sustainable development, we must build our resilience to natural disasters. The National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy, which was approved through Parliament, will guide disaster risk management and financing to ensure adequate financial resources for relief, recovery, and reconstruction. In 2024, the government will further strengthen financial sector regulations and key legislation, including, 1, the Custom Act, which, having gone through a joint select committee, is expected to be taken shortly. 2, Private Sector Pensions Act, which forms part of the pension reform process. 3, Income Tax Relief, Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Act, which will make provisions under one legislation for fiscal incentives for large-scale projects. And 4, amendments to the Financial Services Act to develop a regime for the consolidated supervision of non-deposit-taking institutions and facilitate the regulatory framework for the Twin Peaks model of financial regulation. Honorable members, the government continues to drive sustainable economic growth and meaningful job creation, enabling better quality of life for all our citizens. The new social housing program, introduced in 2018, has built over 200 new houses across the island. And this has 500 units projected for the financial year 2024-2025. Major advances in infrastructure work continues. The Maypen to Williamsfield segment of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project was officially opened in September 2023. The Harborview to Yallas segment was opened in February 6, 2024, creating new economic opportunities, particularly for the people of St. Thomas, once dubbed the Harborview to Yallas segment was opened on February 6, 2024, creating new economic opportunities, particularly for the people of St. Thomas, once dubbed the Forgotten Parish, but now the Renaissance Parish. Under the Special Capital Expenditure Program, construction of the first road project, Grange Lane, commenced in December 2023. The feasibility studies for the Brayton-Hellshire Road and the East Kings House, Lady Musgrave Road projects have been completed and are now undergoing evaluation. The new entry to Portmore from Mandela via Municipal Boulevard, widening of Sandy Gully Bridge on Washington Boulevard, and upgrade to the Arthur Wint, Tom Redcom Drive, and Camp Road will undergo Public Investment Management Systems review and commence construction in the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The government's 40 billion shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to our road network program to upgrade more than 2,000 roads island-wide over the next 2 years has been launched. Approximately $150 million is to be located to each constituency for roadworks, with additional allocations to be determined based on mileage and an assessment of the condition of the road network. Planning is now underway for community-based consultations to determine prioritization of roads for rehabilitation. Parks are vital to our well-being, and the government launched the long-awaited Portmore Residential Park, or the Portmore Resilience Park, in January 2024. Work commenced as scheduled on February 5, 2024. Honorable members, building a resilient Jamaica requires access to potable water. The government has been unrelenting in its quest to increase the water footprint with the overarching goal of achieving universal access by 2030. In 2023-24 financial year, 200,000 Jamaicans island-wide benefited from water improvement projects costing some $4 billion. In the financial year 2024-2025, 21 additional water supply upgrading and expansion projects are planned at a projected expenditure of over Jamaica $2.5 billion. The Recobre treatment plant project will continue this year, or will commence this year, under a public partnership arrangement costing US $77 million. Once completed, this will provide an additional 15.5 million gallons of water daily to the Kingston metropolitan area, effectively ending the need for water lock-offs in the dry season in Kingston, St. Andrew, and Portmore. The government continues to prioritize safeguarding environmental assets and moving forward with its commitment to declare 30% of the island's coastal, marine, and terrestrial areas as protected. The Protected Areas Regulation under the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act were gazetted in 2023. The Protected Areas Policy will be finalized in the financial year 2024-25, with work commencing on the promulgation of an omnibus protected areas legislation. Honorable members, the government's crime fighting strategy has yielded notable success as Jamaica recorded a 7.8% reduction in homicides and an aggregate 11% reduction in all crime categories for 2023 compared to 2022. The government continues to make significant progress in modernizing the anti-crime legislative framework through the passage of the law reform Zones of Special Operation and Special Community Development Measures Amendment Act. The amendments to the Immigration Restriction Commonwealth Citizens Act and Aliens Act, which are now at advanced stages, will strengthen our national border management framework and support the wider territorial and sovereign protection reforms. The government continues to make investments in major technology in its national security apparatus with the continued upgrade and expansion of the Jamaica Eye network, the traffic ticket management system, and the microwave and radio network for the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Infrastructural reforms to national security facilities also continued with a further 26 police stations renovated to date, and the construction of the National Forensic Pathology Autopsy Suite is near completion. The government will break ground for the construction of the Westmoreland Divisional Headquarters and the St. Catherine North Divisional Headquarters within this financial year, a major milestone in our reform agenda. The government continues to outfit our security forces with additional resources to maintain law and order so that all citizens can play their part in building a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica. Honorable members, our health sector is undergoing the most comprehensive infrastructure improvement since our independence. The government has broken ground for the modernization of the Spanish Town Hospital to offer a broader range of specialized medical services and has also made significant progress on the Cornwall Regional Hospital Rehabilitation Project and the construction of the new Western Child and Adolescent Hospital. Upgrades to other hospitals and health centers are also being undertaken, with the St. Jago Park and Greater Portmore Health Centers being upgraded to comprehensive health centers, and the Maypen and St. Anne's Bay hospitals are being upgraded also to regional hospitals. Honorable members, as we seek to improve our productivity and expand service delivery, we must look closely at our human resources. In this regard, the government has provided over 2,500 posts for physicians to expand primary health care, increase service quality, as well as eliminate employment by contract and provide better working arrangements. The government is committed to the program of prevention for non-communicable diseases and will continue its Know Your Numbers campaign to provide 500,000 screening tests to the population. This is also being supported by the continuation of the Jamaica Moves campaign in schools, in communities, and at workplaces. This legislative year, the government will revise various key pieces of health-related legislation to include, one, the Tobacco Control Bill, which will enable Jamaica to be in compliance with its international obligations under the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the WHO FCTC. 2, the Food and Drug Amendment Bill, which will allow for the effective regulation of natural health products, including nutraceuticals. 3, amendments to the Nurses and Midwives Act and the Pharmacy Act to legalize the role of advanced practice registered nurses and enable family nurse practitioners and mental health psychiatric nurse practitioners in government health centers and also the University Hospital of the West Indies to prescribe a list of pharmaceuticals as approved by the Pharmacy Council. Honorable members, a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica is predicated upon the quality of our education system. The government is currently implementing the recommendations of the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, the JETC, recognizing that this will be a multi-year, wide-ranging transformation exercise which should enable the success of every learner. Dialogue, partnerships, and feedback are essential to the success of this process, and the Transforming Education for National Development Trend initiative to include a robust communication campaign was launched with the tagline, "For a Brighter Tomorrow." Significant changes to include some high-impact legislations, namely the Jamaica Teaching Council Bill, the amendments to the Education Act and regulations, and the Overseas Examination Commission Amendment Bill. Honorable members, Jamaica's tourism industry continues its incredible post-pandemic rebound as one of the world's fastest recovering countries and the Caribbean's fastest growing tourist destination. Our warmth and hospitality have kept visitors returning at a 42% repeat rate. In 2023, Jamaica welcomed a record 4,150,000 visitors, comprising 2,890,000 stopover visitors and 1,260,000 cruise passengers, and generated some US $4.2 billion in revenue. The government is focused on strengthening tourism linkages through the Agri-Linkages Exchange (ALEX) platform, a collaboration between the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF, and the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. This generated $1 billion in sales by small farmers in 2023. The government's investment in certification and skills training is ensuring that Jamaicans are not spectators, but active contributors to our tourism success. Our tourism workers are a core part of our growth strategy, and we are committed to providing housing for them through partnerships with the private sector. We also welcome the pledge by 4 major international hotel investor groups who have committed to constructing over 2,000 residential units for industry employees. Honorable members, the provision of greater access to suitable public beach facilities to all Jamaicans remains a priority. 8 beaches are at various stages of the design and approval under the ongoing National Beach Development Program. Among those beaches proposed for enhancement in 2024-25 are Prairie Bathing and Fishing Beach in St. Anne and Padgy Beach in St. Mary. Honorable members, the agriculture and fisheries sector achieved a sustained positive trajectory with 8 consecutive quarters of growth up to the final quarter of the 2022 calendar year. In 2023, however, Jamaica experienced its hottest and driest year on record, and this inevitably posed severe challenges for the sector. The government's interventions in 2023 sought to mitigate losses, increase the resilience of the sector, and ensure the country's food security. The government provided some $1.3 billion to advance growth in the sector through the Production and Productivity Program. This yielded production of 777,000 tons up to the end of December 2023, the second highest level of domestic crop production in the country's history. The government will be placing specific focus on rehabilitation and expansion of orchard crops, production, especially the production of mango, breadfruit, and ackee. The government continued to prioritize the small ruminants development program to boost Jamaica's self-sufficiency in meat production. GCT has been temporarily waived on live animal imports to further drive improvement of our local herd productions and herd populations. Through the National Fisheries Authority, a dedicated aquaculture agro-park is being targeted. The government is investing $2.6 billion in key irrigation projects that are expected to result in over 2,433 hectares of additional irrigated lands for production. Honorable members, during 2023, the mining and quarrying sector recorded a 25% increase in total equivalent of dry bauxite shipped, inclusive of alumina production. As we continue the diversification of our minerals sector, the exportation of high-purity limestone increased by 77%. Under the legislative program for 2024-2025, several key pieces of legislation will be amended to include: 1, the replacement of the Animals, Diseases and Importation Act with the Animal Health and Welfare Act 2024, the replacement of the Plants Quarantine Act with the Plant Health Act 2024, amendments to the Predial Larceny Prevention Act. Honorable members, the government continues to prioritize increasing productivity through various processes and legislative reforms to enable economic growth and to foster a more peaceful, productive, and prosperous society. During the last financial year, 2023-2024, the government continued the implementation of the Global Digital Services Strategy geared towards supporting Jamaica's shift to high-value knowledge process outsourcing. In 2023, the project graduated 590 apprentices trained in supervisory management and leadership skills. 1,194 apprentices are expected to graduate in 2024 to significantly enhance the sector, which currently employs approximately 62,000 persons. The Jamaica Business Gateway, the premier business-to-government B2G transaction platform, was launched in May 2023 with 14 government processes, thereby increasing the ease of doing business and also productivity. Further expansion of the gateway continues with the addition of 29 processes targeted for the end of June 2024. Over US $100 million was invested through the Special Economic Zone regime in the development of 7 special economic zones, which have facilitated employment for over 3,000 persons. Honorable members, the German Ship Repair Jamaica Limited, a designated special economic zone, deserves special attention as it welcomed its inaugural floating dock, Jam Dock 1, into the Kingston Harbor in August 2023. This monumental milestone marked the dawn of a new era in Jamaica's maritime industry, where vessels, both local and international, will have access to world-class repair facilities on our very shore. During the financial year 2024-2025, the key legislative priority will be the amendments to the Companies Act. The draft bill is being finalized. The amendments are expected to strengthen the efficiency and operation of companies in Jamaica to create an enabling environment for business. Honorable members, energy, security, robust and expansive telecommunications infrastructure, and reliable transport are key elements for a peaceful, productive, and prosperous society. Therefore, the government continues to develop policies which will contribute to reducing Jamaica's energy intensity and carbon footprints. While advancing the adoption of new technologies. The policy and guidelines for energy efficiency and conservation in public facilities, especially or specifically for schools and hospitals, and the electric vehicle policy were tabled in Parliament in June 2023. Likewise, efforts to diversify energy sources for public passenger vehicles for the Jamaica Urban Transit Company received a major boost with the acquisition of 5 battery electric buses, as well as 20 compressed natural gas CNG fueled buses. Efforts to secure private sector interest in renewable energy generation took a significant step forward, with the generation production entity inviting tenders for the supply of up to 100 megawatts of electricity generation capacity for the national grid. Another request for proposal for a further 168 megawatts will be launched later in 2024-2025 financial year. Increased focus will be placed on improved quality of service by telecommunication operators. The telecommunications quality of service standards rules, which establish the formal framework for the parameters and targets against which operators' performance is measured, will be published. In the new financial year, the Public Passenger Transport Stakeholder Committee will begin to address the provision of transportation for students. A rural student transportation system will be introduced that will provide a more affordable alternative for the students in rural Jamaica who do not now benefit from the transportation subsidies that is available in the KMTR through the JUTC. The government will also continue its focus on rural electrification with the plan for full national access to electricity being accelerated over the next 5 years. In the financial year 2024-2025, the government will prioritize key legislative reforms as follows. 1, the Petroleum Downstream Activities Bill, aimed at creating a modern framework to regulate the quality of fuel imported, supplied, stored, and transported. 2, amendment to the Civil Aviation Act to foster compliance with current International Civil Aviation Organization standards and practices. During the financial year 2023-2024, Jamaica continued its active and strategic engagements at the regional, hemispheric, and multilateral levels, increasing Jamaica's influence globally and harnessing bilateral assistance of $4.5 billion towards national development. The government elevated the protection of the interest of Jamaicans overseas by strengthening its consular activities and network and its robust diaspora engagement. The government leveraged its relationships towards increased cooperation and outcomes, leading to successful elections to 7 prestigious international bodies, including the Executive Committee of the UN World Tourism Organization, the UNESCO World Heritage Committee, and the International Maritime Organization Council. Jamaica assumed the 1-year chairmanship of the Council for Foreign and Community Relations, successfully convening its 26th meeting and the Caribbean and UK Dialogue in Kingston in May 2023, in addition to special and informal meetings of the body. Jamaica played a leading role in the CARICOM response to the situation in Haiti, hosting the first meeting of Haitian stakeholders over 3 days of intense discussions facilitated by the CARICOM Eminent Persons Group and effectively launching the group's engagement. And that engagement has continued. In June 2024, the government will host the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference, the first fully in-person staging of the conference since the pandemic. Honorable members, the government continues to promote healing, reconciliation, and mutual respect in our journey towards a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica. In the financial year 2023-2024, the Restorative Justice Program facilitated 1,792 referrals and 82% resulting with 82% of that number, resulting in agreements between parties. The Child Diversion Program transferred 764 children ages 12 through 17 in conflict with the law from the formal court systems, providing them with treatment plans. 99 youths deemed at high risk were assigned mentors. Significant progress has been made in the parish courts, reducing the overall net criminal backlog to under 2%. Infrastructural upgrades continued, and public-private partnerships for new judicial complexes are planned in selected parishes. In the 2024-25 legislative year, the government will seek to enact a mediation bill, a restorative justice bill, and a new Justice of the Peace Jurisdiction Act to further enhance the role of lay magistrates. We will continue the improvement of access to justice, expansion of alternative justice services, and enhance legal aid services for vulnerable groups. Honorable members, the Bail Act 2023 came into force on November 15, 2023. The new law is grounded in the entitlement and exception to bail as provided for by the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. Bail may now be granted or denied pre-charge, post-charge, and post-conviction. During the financial year 2023-2024, the government implemented critical aspects of the Road to Republic public education program with over 70 stakeholders meetings, as well as 5 town hall meetings in St. James, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Portland. The government continues with the preparation of the Constitution of Jamaica amendment of Section 61 bill to modernize the words of enactment as the first legislative step in a proposed series of amendments intended to give effect to a constitution enacted by the Parliament and approved by the people of Jamaica. Honorable members, legislative priorities for the 2024-2025 financial year will focus on amendments towards establishing the Republic of Jamaica and under the whole of government legislation program, accelerate the pace of law reform and improve the quality of legislation promulgated. Honorable members, through the amendment of the Domestic Violence Act 2023, the government continued its efforts to end gender-based violence. The Sexual Harassment Tribunal will be operationalized during the financial year 2024-2025 to address sexual harassment complaints. Also, the third National Center will be renovated to support victims of gender-based violence. Honorable members, our sportsmen and women continue to shine to the world. The Sunshine Girls won the bronze medal at the Netball World Cup. Jamaica finished fourth on the medal table at the World Athletics Championship, with Sharika Jackson setting a championship record in the 200 meters. And the Reggae Girls had their first qualification for the knockout stage of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Jamaica plays a leading role in the global mission to keep sports clean. The Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport was elected to the Foundation Board of the World Anti-Doping Agency, a significant achievement as the first ever English-speaking Caribbean representative on the board. Our excellence in entertainment outweighs our size. The Jam World Entertainment Complex is being renovated for the facility to be the first 24-hour entertainment zone to address the need for designated entertainment areas. Honorable members, the nomination of the archaeological landscape of 17th century Port Royal for inscription to the UNESCO World Heritage List places us again on the global stage. The Port Royal sunken city is the only site in the Western Hemisphere and one of 3 in the world that fall into the category of catastrophic sites. Amendments will be made to the Jamaica National Heritage Trust Act to respond to changing norms in heritage protection and management, consistent with international trends and best practices. Honorable members, improving local level service delivery and economic development are critical to our peace, productivity, and prosperity. The government strongly believes that every homeless person should have access to a safe place for shelter. And has opened 3 night shelters in Trelawney, St. Anne, and Clarendon. Several infirmaries have also been renovated across the island. Through the Indigent Housing Program, the government has handed over houses in St. Mary, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, and Manchester. These houses have been equipped with rainwater catchment facilities and solar panels. The poor relief departments continue to assist with housing repairs and provide other assistance to the registered poor. The government is also investing in the Jamaica Fire Brigade. 2 ladder units will be procured to fight fires in high-rise buildings. A new fire station will be constructed at Ulster Spring in Trelawney. The Jamaica Fire Brigade will also engage 2 batches of recruits for training, totaling 220 new firefighters. Honorable members, as we strive for a cleaner Jamaica, solid waste collection has also improved with the acquisition of additional garbage compactors. honorable members, to achieve our true prosperity, we must have broad and deep participation in the economic and social aspects of our society to allow all people the opportunity to flourish. The government, with the support of the World Bank, will begin implementation of the social protection for increased resilience and opportunity. That project is to strengthen and expand Jamaica's social protection systems. One key initiative will be the establishment of an unemployment insurance scheme. Building on the progress made with the coming into effect of the Disabilities Act, an accessibility checklist which serves as a practical guide for ensuring that the built environment is appropriate, was launched by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities in December 2023. Honorable members, as we seek to improve the quality of life of all our citizens, you would recall that the government increased the NIS by up to 76%, and the minimum wage increase was the largest in the last 20 years. The transition of security guards to employment contracts was effected to afford them key benefits related to overtime pay, sick, and vacation leave. The Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, is the most critical arm of the government's social protection program, and we are moving to make it more accessible and responsive. In that regard, stakeholder engagement has commenced as the first step in the overhaul of the program. And in conclusion, honorable members, as we reflect on the progress made in fiscal year 2023-2024 and look ahead to the plans for fiscal year 2024-2025, it is evident that our national vision of economic independence is not just a distant dream, but now well within our reach. I have a profound belief in the collective power of our nation. Each of us holds a crucial role in shaping the future of Jamaica. We will unite as a determined nation and overcome our challenges. We will build a caring economy that leaves no one behind and provides opportunities for every Jamaican to fulfill their dreams and aspirations. We will seize opportunities and chart a course towards a brighter future individually and as a nation. We will work hand in hand, secure in the knowledge that, with the grace of God Almighty, a peaceful, productive, and prosperous Jamaica is now firmly within our grasp. Thank you.
To the Nurses and Midwives Act and the Pharmacy Act that will see some nurses of a particular, I would imagine, training. I think he mentioned them as family nurse practitioners who would be able to prescribe medication, those who are operating in the government health centers and at the University Hospital of the West Indies. So I think that's something that's going to have key impact, Theo.
Definitely. Under the heading of national security, one of the things that came out very strongly in the presentation was the continuing necessity of legislative reform. The anti-crime legislative framework in particular was mentioned. Also, infrastructural reform of our law keeping and security apparatus was mentioned very clearly as a continuing priority for the government.
And of course, there will also be ongoing legislative changes for education. The Governor General mentioned the ongoing transformation efforts by the Ministry of Education and Youth, and we should see the changes to the Jamaica Teaching Council bill happening in this legislative year. Fingers crossed that that will actually be completed, as well as amendments to the Education Act and regulations.
All throughout the presentation, under the heading of finance, there was that thread of fiscal responsibility, and of course the throne speech started with some examples or the results thereof. This is a continued priority. Again, regulations being worked on, key legislations being identified to bring before the House. The Customs Act was mentioned, the Income Tax Relief, Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Act was also mentioned, essentially giving income tax relief for those involved in large-scale products and pioneering industries on Jamaican soil.
And of course, later on, Theo, we will get some details of how the government will be programming some of that spend for the next financial year when the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, tables the estimates of expenditure in the House when they reconvene at 2 this afternoon.
Indeed. We know the media will carry many stories on the national budget, and we encourage all our viewers and fellow Jamaicans to participate in the governance of our nation by following closely. We also expect to have the budget debate coming up in the next few weeks. Stay tuned to the JIS. You have our website, our socials, and other media sources to get a detailed schedule of all the presenters and the areas they'll be covering. It will begin with the Finance Minister.
That's right.
And include a presentation from the Prime Minister as well as the Leader of the Opposition.
Theo, as wonderful as this has been, it really is time for us to wrap this broadcast. We hope our viewers have enjoyed watching and listening as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. I am Stacey Ann Smith.
And I'm Theodore Henry. On behalf of the production teams of the Jamaica Information Service and the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica, please do enjoy the rest of your day.